Hi everyone, this is Nigel and welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, I have brought out the big boys as you can see here because I'm gonna share with you my secret to growing damn big. And it's all down to plant nutrition. If you wanna know the products that I use to create my secret nutritious potion that my plants have been loving so much, this video is gonna bring you through it all step by step, so keep on watching because you wouldn't wanna miss a thing. Step 1. Let's get the base right. For me, I have a fish tank at home and this is where I get the water for my plants from. This is Goldie the goldfish and it lives in the fish tank with a few other tetras. I like this way of reusing water so that I'm not wasting water. And also, this water is actually perfect for plants in terms of pH, which is something that I'll discuss in more details later. I usually change the water about once every 2 weeks. And each time I'm taking out around 5 gallons of water out of this 10-gallon tank. Besides saving water, another benefit of using fish tank water for your plants is that there's a low level of chlorine since the water has already been treated. Step 2. Let's talk about water pH. Most tropical plants like philodendrons and anthuriums like acidic soil, which means the water that you give them should be low in pH. Here I'm testing the pH of my fish tank's water. A neutral pH is 7 and anything from 1 to 6 is considered acidic and anything 8 and above is considered alkaline, which is what tropical plants do not like. Here I have a water pH meter which I love so much. This meter not only tells you the pH of the water but also parts per million or ppm, which is also a very important aspect of plant nutrition because it tells you how much nutrients is in the solution. Now with a click of a button, I can switch from pH to ppm. So you can see here that the ppm for my fish tank's water is about 70, which is relatively low. Now back to pH, the meter does need some time to measure the exact pH of the solution you're testing. And right now it's settling around pH 6. Now you may ask, why is pH so important? Well, pH actually affects whether your plants can absorb the nutrients that is in the medium it is in. For tropical plants, they need a pH of about 5.5 to 6.5 for them to efficiently absorb the nutrients that is in the medium, be it soil, moss, or water. So this is how I do it about every 2 weeks. Instead of using tap water, which I found to be pretty alkaline, I would use my fish tank's water for my plants. So usually after I finish collecting the water, I will fill up the fish tank once again before moving on to the next step, which is to add in all the good stuff to the water that I've prepared. If you remember, the ppm for the fish tank's water is about 70, which is relatively low. And for our plants, we want a ppm of about 1,000 to 1,500. Essentially, the higher the ppm, the more nutrients there is for your plants. Of course, please take note that these numbers are arbitrary, and so you really have to adjust the ppm to your plant's needs. The last thing we want here is to over-fertilize our plants, and so it's always better to start less first and see how your plants are reacting to the influx of nutrients before adding more. Right now, I'm testing the new water quality of my fish tank. I'm expecting the pH to be higher than before and the ppm to be lower than what we had. As you can see here, the ppm dropped from 70 to 60 and the pH has risen from 6 to about 7, which is around neutral. Now that we're done with the water, let's move to the fun part, which is the secret ingredients. First up, we have CalMag, which is the calcium magnesium supplement. Next up, we have LiquiDirt, which is a all-purpose plant food. And then we have the Maxsea acid plant food. Next to it, we have SuperThrive, which is a vitamin solution for plants. And last but not least, we have a pH down solution. Now let's get started with the mix. First off, I would like to start with Maxsea because this is going to provide the bulk of the nutrients for our plants. And this is the acid formula that is suited for tropical plants. Now let's take a closer look at what are the nutrients in this formula. We have a high nitrogen content of 14%, and this is basically the entree for our plants. Next, we see a high level of phosphate, 18%, and this is going to form the phosphoric acid, which is going to make the solution acidic. The relatively high sulfur that we see here is also going to help make the solution acidic by forming sulfuric acid. Another important element is iron. Without iron, your plants are likely to suffer from corrosis, which is the yellowing of the leaves. Important thing to note is that your plants can only efficiently absorb iron if the pH is low, which is where the phosphate and sulfur come into play. Now, there are instructions on the bottle telling you how much to use. Since my plants are indoor plants and I only water them once a week, I'm gonna follow the 2 teaspoons per gallon instruction. Alright, now let's take a look at the inside. When you open the bottle, you'll see kind of like a black sand. Of course, this powdery black sand is going to dissolve in the water that you put it in. There's not too much of a smell to it, which I think is good because it's not going to make your plant smell bad, and also it's not going to attract any pests. One interesting thing that I want to share is that you can see some green luminescence when the powder is dissolving in the water. Pretty interesting, right? Alrighty, let's speed the rest of this up. And now I'm just gonna do a quick test to show you that the pH is still the same, about 6, but the ppm has jumped from 70 to over 1,000. That is what I call nutrient-packed. Yum yum for our plants. Next, let's get some vitamins to our plants. This is SuperThrive, a vitamin solution for plants. I gotta warn you, this one does not smell good at all. It is a brown solution and smells kind of like cheesy potato chips. I don't know, it doesn't smell great. Thankfully, we don't need too much of it. For every 1 gallon of water, we only need a 1/4 teaspoon. Next up, it's LiquiDirt. It is a all-purpose plant food, and just like the SuperThrive, you can add it to your current fertilizing regime as a little something extra. This little packet of LiquiDirt can go a long way, making up to 50 gallons of solution. This bottle that I have right here is my first gallon of LiquiDirt, and after about 6 months, I'm only about halfway done that 1 gallon. I've changed to a tablespoon because we need more of this. Per gallon, we need about 4 tablespoons. Now, even though the LiquiDirt solution looks quite dark and concentrated, its pH is actually pretty neutral at a 7, and the ppm is actually at 30. Last but certainly not least, we have the CalMag. Calcium and magnesium are also important elements that's gonna keep our plants green and prevent yellowing of the leaves. You can see here, we have nitrogen here at 2%, following by calcium, which is also at 2%, magnesium, boron, copper, iron, manganese, and zinc. These elements are also present in the Maxsea plant food, which is why I'm showing a comparison here to justify my need for CalMag as an ingredient. So, Maxsea has no calcium, where CalMag has 2% calcium. Maxsea has no magnesium, whereas CalMag has 0.6% magnesium. As for the other elements, boron, copper, iron, manganese, and zinc, Maxsea has 10 to 100 times more of these than the CalMag. This is why I feel that these two ingredients actually go hand in hand together really well. Now, it says here to add 2 to 4 milliliters per gallon, which is about half to 3/4 teaspoon, and that is what I'm gonna use. The CalMac is a brown solution that is clear and scentless. I have a feeling this big bottle is gonna last me for a long time. Last but not least, we have pH Down. This one is from General Hydroponics and it's basically phosphoric acid. Other brands may contain another kind of acid such as the sulfuric acid. Nonetheless, all of them serve the same purpose of lowering the pH of your medium. Now, these are strong acids, so make sure you're adding the smallest amount at each time. This tiny syringe is what I use when I add acid to my solution, drops at a time. I'll be making a video showing you how to use the pH down to lower the pH of your nutrient solution, so stay tuned. And one last time, I'm gonna give a final test for the pH and ppm of my nutrient solution. Usually, a solution with a high level of nutrient tend to have a higher pH, which is something we do not want. Remember, a higher pH is going to prevent the plant from efficiently absorbing the nutrients from the medium. Ideally, we want the pH to be about 5.5 to 6.5. And right now, we have a pH of about 6, which is perfect. Though, do note that the pH is likely to rise slightly after the solution has taken some time to settle down. If you observe that the pH is above 6.5, then it's time to use the pH down to lower the pH before you serve it to your plants. Now, let's check out the ppm. We see that it is above 1000, which is really good for plants. However, if you think that this is too much, you can always dilute it down. All the products and tools featured in this video will be linked down in the description box below, so do check it out if you're interested. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly hope that you learned a thing or two that's gonna help you grow your plants bigger and greener. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel down below and click on the bell icon so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys and I'll see you soon. Adios!